Thank you so much, Joe, for coming on today and having a chat for Mindful Moving March. I thought it'd be nice to introduce you, the man behind the Tracie Lawlor Trust for Cystic Fibrosis, who we are fundraising for this month. And so, Joe, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell me a bit. I know a little bit already because I do. Yeah. But tell me a bit about the Tracie Lawlor Trust and how it came about, and about your lovely sister Tracie as well.
Hi Claire, thanks very much for having me. And I'll try and make it short because there's always I can ramble and so on. But basically, Tracie was a teacher and she was doing her HDip in Cork at the stage. She was a teacher in English and music, and she ended up getting sick, a routine sickness you would call it for a cystic fibrosis patient, which generally you'll end up getting intravenous drugs and for 2, 4 or 6 weeks, whichever, and you go into hospital in most cases and so on. But on this occasion at the time in 2007, there was no facilities for CF, and there wasn't enough if there was any. But for adult CF center, there was no. Although there was a dedicated hospital, but there was no facilities. So Tracie was going to Vinnie's, but there was no beds, so you had to go into A&E, and then you had the hassle. It was more than a hassle because A&E is crazy, and then to put a person that's extremely sick and extremely vulnerable and immunocompromised and so on to go in there, you're just asking for trouble and asking for longer sickness. There was a bed available in Waterford at the time, so we actually met her halfway, and we took her car, and I didn't, my dad did, and my mum brought her down to Waterford where that would have been our treatment hospital for kids in Waterford Regional, and we got a bed there. But anyway, long story short, the whole thing, she shouldn't have died in the end when we got a report from pediatrics from Leeds Regional, who done the independent report for us, and various reasons which we wouldn't have time to go into all that, but it was extremely preventable and most likely should have been prevented. And it was for a routine. I think her lung function at the time was about 58%, 56 to 60. And this is where the trust was born to fit in. All right, we can actually make integrative medicine and improve quality of life for CFs, and especially now it works out even better with Vertex bringing out drugs that will phenomenally improve the ability of CFs to achieve and to do stuff. But now we have to look at their mental health at the same time of a burden of a chronic disease, which is vastly under researched, I think. And the trust was kind of born. It wasn't really a decision to say, but it was just more so, right, we're going to do this. My mom, my brother, myself, my dad said, let's do it. Thankfully, Tracie had many, many friends, which were absolutely brilliant with helping us putting all the stuff together, friends. And for instance, they've still stuck with us to this day, as I was mentioning to yourself before, with scientific backgrounds and all to help us get there.
Where did the interest come from integrative and complementary therapies? Because it's such an unusual format for a charity. It's amazing. It's so forward thinking, and it's nothing that we'd really had in Ireland before, or in our CF Care or our CF charities before. It's a whole other angle. And I know, myself, I've always been really fascinated, and I studied in reflexology and Tai Chi, and have always benefited from complementary therapies with my care. So when I saw you guys first, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. This charity, I've never seen them before. They're raising money for CF, and they're putting their focus specifically on CF and how specific integrative therapies can actually help our health. So it's so educational as well. So yeah, how did you come up with that angle? Like it's so unique.
I don't know exactly there was one thing, but I would say there was like a good friend again who happened to be a CF who was massively into integrative medicine, would have been Michael Morrison as well, and his parents were the chairpersons of the local CF branch, and then he was older than me and Tracie at the time. Unfortunately, he's passed now, but he his I think his father and mother are both homeopaths, and they were very into that side of things. Like, and obviously, my mum and my dad went in, and they became chairperson then afterwards as well. Like, and where my personal, I suppose it would have been. I always put it down to milk thistle, and this is not to say this worked. It could be all placebo, so on, so on. This is just a personal opinion. But I had a liver disease, and I remember the professor coming in and just saying, well, it just happens. Like, and at some stage we'll get you to have some sort of transplant and blah, 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 blah. And you kind of don't take it in. You're listening to him going, I can name all the parts of the liver now after this. I can't even spell it after it. Like, but I said, no, not me. It was a pure, I suppose, selfish mode going, I think I'm Rocky, like, all of a sudden. And I went off and went, well, do you know what? I found milk thistle. I had some very, very small evidence, very, very small trials to reverse liver disease with alpha lipoic acid, I think it was as well. Again, very, very small, not in CF. But I went and looked at, well, what's the risk benefit? And hey, why not try it?
Yeah.
So I went and did it, and lo and behold, I think it was over 2 years, and it was about that. Like, and then I literally asked, like, what's the story of my liver? Because sometimes they just don't tell you. Oh yeah, that's grand. And I hadn't been grand since I was 17, and that I think at that stage I was 20 something. Like, I know you could say, well, there's lots of reasons in between, which there is, but that's your spark of interest.
I was just going to say, yeah, that would have sparked. And did you studied integrative medicine or integrative therapies, didn't you?
Yeah, I have. Well, some of them are not really official. Like, I've done iridology and stuff like that. I have my basic bachelor's in neuroscience. I have a master's in nutrition. I have lots of certs in lots of different things like that I can't even think of now, even from computers to
whole clatter of them.
Yeah, I suppose they don't mean anything really in the long term, bar basic science, I would say.
But knowledge is power, and that's how we move forward. And
yeah, it gives you a method how to go through the crap, and you should be able to be critical on it, like, but open-minded at the same time. Like.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the so all the fundraising that you guys have been doing. So what year did you set up the Tracie Lawlor Trust?
07. It was just in June 07, if I remember. Yeah.
So you're going.
Math test.
14 years, is it?
Yeah.
What year are we now?
It's 2021, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 years. I was just going to leave you to that one. I was like, calculator in the corner.
Maths is not my strength in school. But so that's like 13 years, 14 years for 2021. Yeah, we're into our 14th year. Yes. Of, doing like fundraising for the charity, and obviously doing it in memory of your little sister Tracie as well. And the projects that you guys do are really sorry, I don't mean projects, but like the fundraising that you do and the projects that you fund are really well, for me, I find them amazing. Just reading something that's related to you. So like a lot of the time with CF, everything always feels a bit experimental because it had never really been because we're living into adulthood now. and we're living longer. So a lot of us are trying different things to see if they work for our health. And it's nice reading a report about how something in particular has benefited people with cystic fibrosis. So, and Tai Chi was actually one of them as well. One of the projects that you guys did. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your projects that you funded, and any ones in particular that you've enjoyed?
Well, I'll give you a lot of praise for Tai Chi, because you were a huge help.
Oh, delighted.
When we started it,
delighted it took off. It's fantastic. You've done amazing.
But to give you the other one or two other projects, there was Professor John Mark in Stanford University in the USA. He trained in Arizona, I believe, under Dr. Well. A lot of people might know him. Dr. Well would have been an integrative medicine pioneer, and Professor John Mark ended up specializing in CF, and he loved integrative medicine, and anything was worth a shot. Even homeopathy. But his point was the placebo was so powerful. Why not harness it? What's the harm for the actual patient? But not ruling out either
the benefit.
Actual medicine that is so on so on. But anyway, I emailed him because I saw a study, and I saw it on acupuncture for pain in CFs, and I think offhand, like all statistics, I'll just make it up, but I won't really. I think it was 59% perceived that it was helpful on the VAS scale, so it's a visual scale to say, yeah, it seems good. Again, the trial was very small and so on, but he put together a team of anaesthetists and so on that wanted to find out, well, could we give electroacupuncture, which you put the needle in and then you stimulate it with an electric pulse. Mm-hmm. Is that more powerful than normal acupuncture, and will it help with pain in CF? Because CFs take a lot of medication anyway, which would put their liver and so on under a lot of pressure. Now, you don't want to be taking a pain med on top of...
No.
Especially if you didn't have to, if you could cut down and then give some sort of actual relief. So that was the initial study we funded, which was great at the same time.
Yeah.
Because from that initial study, because it was very hard to get actual participants and so on, and you're doing sham acupuncture, and that wasn't a crossover trial, but from that we were also able to, IBD would be a subset of CFs, maybe inflammatory bowel disease, and we funded a yoga trial, and they found it very helpful, excuse me, for coping with their IBD. And then within that same thing, we were also able to provide education to healthcare professionals in the library by books for them. Can you not believe?
Book. I wanted to ask you that.
There was no real top quality integrated medical books freely available and readily available to them. And then the last thing out of that particular funding project would have been that there was another paper published, the reasoning for pediatric integrated medicine within healthcare, and what's the evidence so far, and where it's going, the benefit, the cost, the money. But not just you're saving a tenner, but it's also look how much this child, because it's peds, so look how much these children's adolescents, look how much they've improved, and they're getting on better coping with their actual chronic diseases and so on. And that wasn't just cystic fibrosis. We were in that paper. Our funding was in that paper, along with many other from cancer and other chronic diseases like that. So and now to Tai Chi, which yourself you'd have a love of.
When it was in its infancy,
I think you actually did. We had a story of you doing Tai Chi, and that's actually the way it worked. It's funny. We had the story up of Tai Chi first. I didn't really know that much about Tai Chi myself. I did bar what you read and then kung fu movies.
Or you see footage of people in China in lovely parks, and they're doing these lovely movements. Like, what is that?
It was from that story actually. I contacted. It was at the time, I think it was the European she's the head of the European Journal of Integrative Medicine now, but it was like the European Integrative, or could have been complementary at the time. It was a consortium of healthcare professionals that wanted to push more evidence-based integrative medicine, and obviously have the best science you can have behind it. Like, because it's easy to test a pill in a double-blind placebo control, but like if you're testing Tai Chi, how do you really put on a placebo-controlled Tai Chi or a sham Tai Chi? Because at the very least, the instructor is going to know it's a sham. He's going to have his bias and so on. So it was, and then when I contacted her and she was back, and she actually saw what you were doing as well. And she said, that's a brilliant idea. Professor Nicola Robinson is her name. And she said, why not do this? Because it's ethics-wise and risk-wise, so on. Like, can you really get hurt from Tai Chi? I'm sure you could not tie your shoelaces or something, but like,
it's just it's minimal risk.
So it's going to be easy to sell to the ethics board to get this done. And so we funded it, and it was extremely hard study, because you don't just have the normal, we can put 5 people in a room, go for it. You also had the problem of cystic fibrosis patients. They cannot interact like that, cross-infection and so on. But then you have the times that they get sick at different times. So if we run into winter, so it turned into, it was done by Skype, and it was done that they'd learn some, and another section would have a DVD sent to them, and they'd learn it, and then we cross over these people, so they'd all get a bit of everything. But when you do a crossover, you're able to double your numbers as well, like, so you have more of a statistically significant. Maybe not clinically, because the numbers didn't go high enough or anything like that, but
but incredible, because like, to do that study is, you know, say for someone like me who started doing it after college at 21, and I'm ticking away doing it, it's like, and I felt the benefits of it, and then went on to train to be an instructor. And like, it's so wonderful that I love sharing how beneficial it's been for me and for my CF. Like, I mean your mental health, like integrative therapies for, you know, hugely benefit your physical body, but it's also living with a chronic condition is another side of it. And, you know, if you can combine your, like, Tai Chi has, you know, the physical benefits, but and an energetic benefits, but also it has the psychological and emotional benefits as well. You know, teaching to really be in the moment, you know, not kind of focusing too much on the future or on the past, and just, you know, really being focusing on your breath as well, you know, like, which is key to, you know, CF. And like, to have a study that what you guys have done is incredible, because it shares, it's like, I nearly feel like it's a way of like an outlet for me to like share the passion. I'm like, this is amazing. It's going to go further, and it's going to reach more people, and maybe more people might be more likely to try it and be open to it, because they've seen that, you know, that other CFs enjoy it and have benefited from it. So it's great to have a little bit of backup, you know, with the study there, to kind of go, well, you know, like, other people have been doing it and they've seen benefits in their lives, just like, you know, like yoga as well. There's Tai Chi, or there's CF people now who are yoga instructors and who practice yoga themselves, and they felt benefit in the same way physically, you know, strength and, you know, good balance and posture and all that, just like Tai Chi. Maybe improved breathing and awareness of your breath, you know, apart from doing our physio, where we're, you know, it's all about clearance and, you know, deep breaths and huffs and all that kind of stuff. So it's like an awareness of your breath on a much deeper level, awareness of your body, and also of your emotional self, your energetic self, and all these things, all these, like, this holistic way of thinking that you guys have embraced is so needed as we move forward as adults, and as the CF community grows older, and as we move through life. And, you know, children that are born with CF now have a whole life ahead of them. You know, they've so much hope. Like, when we started off in the 80s, we weren't really that sure. But like, you know, the ones that of us that are here today, like in our 30s, it's incredible. We never even could have dreamed that we'd be here. So like having integrative and complementary therapies as part of our conventional therapies is just so mutually beneficial, you know, for just so many reasons. So like, it's just, the work that you guys do is just incredible. I'm a huge fan.
Well, thanks
Because it's
thanks
so
for
needed. It's so
praise.
it's brilliant. It's a fantastic charity to donate to, because it's, you know, we have our conventional care, and we're looked after in our hospitals, but this is the other part of our care that is so essential. And it's not just in people with CF, it's like people in general. Modern life is tough, it's really difficult, and there's so many aspects to it now, and pressures and stresses. So like finding integrative ways and therapies and complementary treatments and all that is hugely beneficial. So like, just really want to thank you guys for doing the work that you're doing, because it's so, I feel it's so important.
Well,
We're grateful for it.
I didn't like, without the great people from Professor Nicola Robinson to Professor John Mark, with all these people that have open minds that are looking for money, that are looking to do it, like they did all the brilliance of it all. We just came along and said, here, listen, we'll raise it, we'll put the project, do it, like, and this is important, like, yeah.
We're an important cog in the wheel. You know?
Just hold everyone's hands and put it together. Yeah. That's it. Like,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's fantastic.
But they like, it's, those researchers are there and they're looking, and thankfully picking CF is extremely hard now as well, because there's so many complications and so many things can go wrong, and
so many factors.
Yeah, it's not as quite as simple as the average chronic disease. Not chronic diseases are all simple, but it's you can lose the amount of people you have in a trial within a week.
Yeah,
and it's gone, and that's it, and it could be going on for next year.
Yeah,
but
it's perseverance.
Yeah. No, but it also needs people like yourself, and it needs actual people to embrace, read, and actually do it.
Yeah,
because as you said,
we're happy to embrace it. Well, we know that it's going to help others. Like, it doesn't just help us. Like, it helps, you know, other people with CF, and it helps raising awareness that, like, apart from our medicine, there are other ways that we can, you know, be well, that can add to our wellness, our overall wellness, and you know, help us live a fuller life. And like you were saying with the new drugs as well, some of us that have started and that are about to start them, like, they are a whole new lease of life as well. So these incredible new drugs, and then looking at our complementary and alternative and integrative, like, all these sandwiched together, it really just leaves for a more whole and hopeful life as well.
Yeah,
you know? So
a fuller life, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. People can see on your website the Tracie Lawlor Trust for Cystic Fibrosis. Other things that you fund as well is helping patients directly as well with funding.
We wanted to do evidence-based medicine, but that takes time. We wanted to immediately, with the healthcare providers' approval, of course, like, always inform them, to give it to them if it's not available on the HSE funds, patients assistance funds. But instead of being very specific, we, like, some people will like yoga, some people will like Tai Chi, some people will hate it. And it just won't sit well with them. But some people will. We had two aspects we looked at. We looked at we're going to offer patients assistance. We're going to make sure you inform your healthcare team that it's okay with them, and we're going to also help you, because in Ireland there is a huge problem as well in the integrative medicine. Like, people call it alternative. Let's take, but it shouldn't be alternative. It should be integrative. And if we find out it works, we'll study it and we'll find out if it's whatever. Yeah. Even if it enhances placebo and does very little harm, now we can integrate it in some cases. Like. Yeah. But regulation of actual integrative practitioners of all varying kinds, like 2-day weekend course, and there's claims they have biochemistry and
you have to do your research,
nutritionists and so on. It's probably a little bit better now, but
Yeah.
I haven't looked deep enough again because we found the actual experts in the field and we know what way to go about it. But that was a huge problem at the start, and horrible things to cut out. And it's just like, no, these are the people that are good. These are the people that will tell you. Like a herbalist, for instance, there was one herbalist registered, but that was actually you'd call it legit, but because of you'd look at their education, you'd say, well, hold on, to be a herbalist there, they'd have to actually study a BSc for 4 years before, and then they do clinical afterwards. Now you have experience. Now you understand the biochemistry to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't without it, like, but I'm saying in all likelihood, if you have a structured biochemical or biochemistry degree, you're more likely to be able to understand the nuances of a cell signal or down regulation, up regulation, whatever you want to say. Like instead of just reading an abstract and going, well, this says that this does this.
Yeah.
In my
and that is the other thing about, when having cystic fibrosis, because we are on a lot of medication, it is important that, whatever we want to try or undertake, we do have to be smart about it, and we do have to do our research, but also, maybe linking in with our pharmacist if we're taking any certain herbal remedies are contraindicative for some herbal medicines, so it is important.
The most likely person to be able to tell you what it may or may not happen would be your healthcare professional and the specialist in the field. It doesn't mean they can give you an answer, but like Tai Chi isn't probably and possibly not going to interact with anything. A herbal medicine, like I'm not going to give any examples, but would interact.
Yeah, they can.
Some way within the cell.
Yeah.
So we offered that patient's assistance, and they could fill in a form, and we could offer so much of whatever. Like that could even be gym equipment that we bought for people so they could exercise at home.
Yeah.
From gym equipment to Tai Chi to acupuncture to some people needed a private physio because they couldn't get various things to, even down to a bike at one stage, and various different things. Like, and it was wide ranging. A lot of it was exercise, but other things were like fear hothouse would be another one that some people used, and I use that myself still.
What is it?
It's a fear hothouse. Excuse me. It's a far infrared rays, and the essence of it is that it artificially raises your temperature to a mild fever.
Oh, okay.
So it's like going into a sauna, but not a really strong sauna. It's an infrared sauna, so it's a far infrared, but not near infrared.
Okay.
And the artificial fever is supposedly the main part of its actual mechanism, rather than the infrared rays. There is some thoughts on whether the infrared rays interacts with the cell. And
what does it do? Lie down, or
you just lie down under it and you just let it.
And
so you can just fall asleep.
What's the benefits of it apart from raising the body temperature?
Well, the idea of artificially raising the temperature like that is that you would have an effect on your immune system to react a lot quicker, a lot better now.
Okay.
So, like, say there's a huge thing in saunas now. There's an excellent, and I can't tell you how excellent this particular research scientist is Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and she's found My Fitness is her YouTube page, and she interviews experts within the field, and she's a big advocate of saunas and infrared rays and things like that. And because I'm no expert in it, I would say go and have a look at her.
So what is it? Find Your Fitness, is it?
Found My Fitness.
Oh, Found My Fitness. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
And she's she trained under Dr. Bruce Ames, and he created the Ames test, which is used for carcinogens and mutagens.
Okay.
The standard test that you do in the lab for those things, like, but massively into nutrition for health and so on. The actual infrared rays themselves are supposed to be, now whether this is actually proven in humans, and so I say this very loosely, and there's no real evidence for it yet. So, but the theory is that it has some sort of healing power. I say healing power.
Okay.
What a word to use. On
I'm all
cells,
about the
like,
healing power.
I know, yeah. I was trying to
I am
not
open.
use that word, but
The science head over here.
I
And the
know. Yeah, I
energetic
was
head
like,
over here.
no, I did
We can combine forces. We can call it healing,
it.
or whatever word you want to use.
But
Benefit.
yeah, benefits the cell and rejuvenation and things like that. Now,
Amazing.
whether it works, and the Chi machine was another one which was used,
Oh yeah.
and
Amazing.
that was mild postural drainage. So
Okay.
it was mainly people. The studies were for people who had gout and things like that. And
Okay.
but for CF, there was some stuff that you could use the actual movement of the Chi machine, which helped mildly alleviate pain,
Oh right.
and
Okay.
relaxation was added into it. And that was
Okay.
it wasn't big trials and so
Oh,
on.
you're saying that with the Chi machine, it helped with relaxation. The importance of relaxation, it's so crucial to our overall health, because by being relaxed, you allow healing in your body. So after your practice, like, your body can't heal unless you're relaxed. You know, like, it's really really important. And like you were saying about the that infrared machine and benefiting the immune system, that's another really, really important part of CF care, because our immune system is always under attack, and we get so many chest infections that we need to keep our immune systems as healthy as possible and fighting fit. So, like, all of these things benefit our immune system, and same like Tai Chi, yoga, reflexology, acupuncture, they all work towards boosting your immune system.
Yeah, it's interesting. You actually said, excuse me, relaxation, because there was a caveat in the trials. The trials weren't necessarily for to improve FEV1 to put on weight, and all that was stable. It didn't change. It wasn't big enough. It was never going to show anything like that from the trials. But what it did show was interesting in the trials was that people, or CF, sorry, not people, who done Tai Chi.
We're people too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we don't count. that done Tai Chi found that they were their breathing was a lot better. They were able to do their clearance a lot better, possibly because they were more relaxed and so on.
Yeah.
And they had more control over their cough and things like that. So they were more relaxed overall. So that is an improvement in quality of life.
Definitely.
All the scales of quality of life that were in it improved. But like, again,
helps.
That was the point. It wasn't to say, well, this improves FEV1. It's a completely different idea of, we're improving quality of life here first.
And that's what it's all about.
The larger trials are about, like Vertex and so on, are about the FEV1, and which are just as important, if not more. Like,
complementary treatments and therapies, you know, like, we're not saying it's going to cure us, but it's certainly going to improve our lives. And life is for living, and it's about quality of life. And our conventional meds then can do their job, and together it's an amazing match.
Yeah, it's a yay.
It's just, it's incredible. So it's all about wellness. It's all about improving our day-to-day lives. It's like amazing to be able to fundraise for a charity that it's going to go into that passion and into that part of our care. So thank you so much, Joe. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Philomena as well, for doing your amazing work.
Well, no, thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you so much for chatting to me today.